Enormous impact of Canada's carbon stores on global climate change. This is by McMaster University. New data from McMaster's researchers shows that for the first time, how much carbon is stored in Canada's landscapes and reveals how these carbon-rich areas, if disturbed, could have enormous ramifications for global climate change. Now, I used to live in Canada, but when I lived there were only 10 million of us, the whole population of the country, and most of us, of course, on the East Coast. But I used to live in Montreal, in Quebec. But now there's about 30 million is the population of Canada. Most of them live in the west and south and east, and of course, most of this land is just pure virgin woodlands. Now, findings from McMaster Remote Sensing Laboratory show 405 billion tons of carbon is stored in ecosystems across the country, according to a study led by World Wildlife Canada, WWF Canada. And as global temperatures rise and that land decomposes or is disturbed by human intervention, that carbon could then be released into the atmosphere, accelerating climate change. The impact could be massive. The total amount of carbon mapped by the researchers is equivalent to about 30 years of human-caused global greenhouse gas emissions at 2019 emission levels. Alemu Gonzamo, assistant professor at McMaster's Remote Sensing Laboratory, explained how these carbon stores are key to help hold the global average warming temperature to 1.5 degrees Celsius during a panel presentation at COP26 in Glasgow, Scotland. Gonzamo said the national carbon map will have a huge impact on the way conservation activities and policies are approached to prioritize nature-based climate solutions. The findings, which are first ever comprehensive analysis of this kind, show that 95% of carbon in Canada is found in the top 1 meter of soil, that's 3 feet of soil. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box. The first ever comprehensive analysis found in the top 1 meter of soil, 3 feet, and 24% of that is found in peatlands. The rest of Canada's carbon is found in trees, other plants, dead plant material, and also in the roots of the trees. Tens of thousands of field measurements were fed into a machine learning algorithm to train satellite observations, including space-based laser scanning data, to estimate carbon stocks in plant biomass and soils across Canada, says Gonzamo. Researchers say this underscores Canada's global responsibility to climate change, since the findings reveal a quarter of the world's soil carbon stock is found in Canada. A quarter of the world's soil carbon stock. The highest density carbon-rich areas were found in the old-growth forests of coastal British Columbia, large areas of boreal forest, and the peatlands in the Hudson and James Bay lowlands. Knowing where carbon is stored in Canada allows us to strategically protect and manage the right places to prevent billions of tons of carbon from being released into the atmosphere, says Megan Leslie, President and CEO of WWF Canada. Protecting these areas will also benefit wildlife by safeguarding habitat for important species at risk, she says. One of the actions recommended by the study is to create a Carbon Guardians program to support interested Indigenous communities in monitoring and measuring ecosystem carbon on their lands. The Hudson Bay and James Bay lowlands are covered by peatlands, which are an incredibly dense and globally significant carbon storage area, says Vern Chichu, Director of Lands and Resources at the Mushkegowuk Council, which represents 7 First Nations in the western James Bay and Hudson Bay. Chichu says these carbon-rich areas are known as the breathing lands, to our elders and hold significant cultural value for the communities in the region. The research will not only help shape Canada's approach to carbon emission targets, but will also help WWF Canada in its goal to restore 1 million hectares of lost complex ecosystems, protect and steward 100 million hectares of ecologically rich habitat, and reduce carbon emissions by 30 million tons. This is by McMaster's University on phys.org. Please leave your comments and thank you for your support.